Darkroom Danger. At 19 years old, Liza found herself staying late at the college darkroom to develop some film for her photography class. The photography building, once a tobacco warehouse, was a dark, rickety hulk near some lonely railroad tracks in a little-traveled part of campus. Liza finished developing her film close to midnight and headed out, nervous as always to be alone at night in this deserted part of town. It was dark. Several of the street lights around the parking lot were out, and the few that remained were phoning it in, putting out a weak, flickery light that did nothing to reassure her as she headed towards her car. She heard him before she saw him, a scrape of feet on asphalt. He said, "Hey, can you do me a favor?" Liza startled and dropped her keys, and he mumbled an apology for scaring her. She noticed he was wearing a jogging suit and was walking with a limp. "What do you need?" she asked. He hobbled a step or two towards her. "I think I sprained my ankle. Could you take me to the emergency room?" The university hospital was a short distance down the road. Liza hesitated. The guy looked perfectly pleasant and he did seem to be in pain, but she had recently finished a book about a serial killer called Ted Bundy who lured some of his victims by pretending to have a broken arm and asking for their help carrying books to his car. When they leaned over to put his stuff in the passenger seat of his VW Bug, he knocked them unconscious with a crowbar and stuffed them inside. This scene played across Liza's mind as she looked at the guy. It also occurred to her to wonder why the hell anyone would want to jog in this creepy part of town. So she said, "I'm sorry, I can't do that, but I could call someone for you. There's a phone in the photography building there." "There's nobody to call. I just moved here. I don't really know anybody. Can't you just drive me? It's right down Limestone Avenue." He leaned against the car and winced as he reached down to rub his ankle. Liza offered to call an ambulance for him. "No, I can't afford that. I don't have health insurance. Can't you just drive me? I'll pay you $20. There was something in the way he said this last bit, something wrong, like that exercise in her acting class where they had to recite "Mary Had a Little Lamb," as though they were delivering a tragic monologue or a furious rant. There was a tone rising up that didn't quite match the words he was saying, a raw urgency that reached down inside her and hit the panic button hard. There was a moment of silence between them. "I can't help you," she said. "I'm leaving." Liza gripped her keys, slipped them between her fingers the way her mom had taught her, so she could use them as a weapon if he came at her. She kept her eyes on him as she speed-walked the last few feet to her car. He watched her drive away, still leaning against the car, a flat expression on his face. Away from the dark parking lot, driving through campus with her music turned on, the fear faded. Liza started to feel a little guilty for leaving the guy there, although she knew she'd done the thing that her mom and dad would have wanted her to do. She was about to turn into her dorm parking lot when she realized she needed to pick up some stuff for her breakfast the next morning. So she turned around and headed back in the direction she came. About a minute down the road, her stomach clenched. There was the guy in the jogging suit running along the sidewalk. His ankle was perfectly fine. Later that summer, 2 students at Liza's college were attacked by those same railroad tracks. The girl survived, but her boyfriend died. The man who attacked them was a serial killer dubbed the Railroad Killer by the police. He murdered dozens of people across several states, most of them near railroad tracks. Liza didn't see his mugshot on TV until years later, but the picture broke her out in the same icy sweat she felt when she saw that guy running down the street. She couldn't be 100% positive, but her gut told her she escaped a serial killer that night.